Hello, naked truthers. Welcome back. So, on this episode, I want to dive into a quote that is ultimately one of my faves and really touched my heart about 10 years ago during my college years, and it just stuck with me since then. So, this is going to be a segment that I'm starting like quote of the week, okay? So let's dive into it. This quote is by Washington Irving, and it goes like this. There is a sacredness in tears. They are not the mark of weakness, but of power. They speak more eloquently than 10,000 tongues. They are the messengers of overwhelming grief, of deep contrition, and of unspeakable love. It's so beautiful to me. And, lately I've been in a place of releasing tears. I've been in a place of purging my beautiful heart chakra, right? And this quote to me says to basically honor your tears, honor those moments when you cry, right? The sacredness that is within you. To me, tears are healing. It is a purification, a cleansing of the soul as you allow yourself to release what no longer serves you, to release what may have been buried deep within you, to finally give your pain a voice, to give it an outlet, or whatever it is that you're holding in. You're finally giving it a way to come out, even if it's anger. Because I know for myself, if I reach a point of being, like super upset, like I'm really mad, my anger will come out as tears. And it doesn't mean in that moment that, I'm just like having a breakdown. No, I'm still mad as fuck, but it's releasing right now through tears. It's not releasing through me cursing you out or being violent with my anger or, getting physical or any kind of way like that. It's literally releasing through tears. That's how it chooses to come out in those moments. And I used to hate that because I used to feel like it would, make the other person think that, they hit a nerve or something. And I'm like, nah, this is a form of saving you from myself. But seriously, I just wanted to come and give y'all this little gentle reminder that it's okay to cry. It's okay to feel. And it's okay to give yourself that space and compassion and grace to do so without the judgment, without the criticism, without the voices of everyone else in your mind telling you, some bullshit about how crying is a weakness. There are some people who see it that way, and that's cool. Everyone is entitled to their view, their truth, their reality. But I just wanted to come give you a different perspective and allow you to see things, from a different lens, a sacredness of the tears and not a weakness. I think about when babies cry, right? And it's like, for them, tears are a form of communication, especially in the beginning. It's one of their only forms of communication. And there's this connection they have with their cries, with their tears. If you listen to a baby, and you don't necessarily have to be a parent to understand this, right? If you've ever been around a baby long enough to pay attention to the way that they cry when they're hungry, when they're tired or overstimulated, or, maybe they need their diaper changed, stretched, or maybe it's time for them to take a nap. You know, there's a different cry, a different vibration that is emitted for them to receive that which their desire. You know, so it's like that hunger cry hit different than the I'm tired, I need a nap cry. And so tears, crying is a form of communication. You know, it's a way for your body to speak without diving into language, without having to use words. It's just a vibrational frequency for whatever you're feeling in that moment, even if it is joy, because you know, tears don't always have to be from a place of grief or sadness. Sometimes people cry because they're overwhelmed with the joy and happiness, and that's the way that they choose to release in that moment as well. You know, and there's nothing wrong with that either. And so it's just honoring the tears. You know, like, yo, my tears are sacred, and it's okay for me to release them. It's okay for me to feel them, you know, building up and not feel like I gotta hold them back. You know that feeling of like when you need to cry and you don't let it out, and it feels like it all just fucking builds up in your throat chakra, and now it feels like you have this like lump or like this ball of energy that's like stuck, and it's like you're consistently trying to swallow down your tears, right? Well, it is pretty much how I just described it. You don't allow it to come out, so now all of that emotion gets suppressed and you're fighting to keep it down, right? So now it's suppressing your throat chakra, so you're creating blockages there, and then it's suppressing wherever else that it goes, and that energy gets stuck. So say it goes down from your throat and it sits in your heart, right? Or maybe it's sitting in your stomach, you know, or maybe it got stuck in your hips and your sacral, wherever, but that energy finds a home within your body if you do not release it. And, you know, imagine just all of your pain, your grief, your sadness, your disappointments, right? All of your anger, all of your feelings of like just deep overwhelmingness getting stuck within your body somewhere. Imagine how that feels to the body, and you begin to feel it as pain. It begins to speak one way or another. It begins to come out in some form of an ailment. And if it's held in long enough, right, and if it continues to build and build and build, especially if you're somebody that hardly ever releases and you just hold everything in, then you begin to create sickness. You begin to create what's called a dis-ease within the body, because it has to come out somehow. And if it doesn't come out in tears, it's going to find a way out. It's going to find a way to, you know, speak up some way. So keep that in mind too. But I just love this quote, and I just had to come share it with y'all. Hopefully it touches somebody the way that it touched me. You know, hopefully it gives you that warm embrace that, hey, it's okay. Hopefully it allows that person that's been holding in tears for years to finally sit down and let it all go, you know. A good cry feels so good afterwards. It might make you sleepy as fuck, at least for me it does. But it just feels so freeing, so releasing after a good cry, right? I'm talking about one of those boo-hoo cries where you got like snot running out your nose, your eyes is mad puffy, right? And it might change the sound of your voice, you know, just tears everywhere. And it might be a little discomfort in the moment, you know, but afterwards you feel so much lighter, and it's like, damn, I needed that shit. And that's what I'm saying. Like, give your tears permission to speak for you. And don't question it. Just let it be. You know, I used to question, like, damn, why am I crying right now? Why am I crying over this? Right? I used to question that shit, like, instead of just allowing myself to express freely, it was judgment, me asking myself why, instead of just allowing the tears to flow and then allowing myself to truly just feel whatever it was that I needed to feel. I would go into this deep analytical state, and it was, I guess, a distraction for me actually feeling what it was that my body wanted me to feel. You know, I'm over here analyzing shit like I'm some detective, like, why am I feeling this? Instead of just feeling. And I believe it was like a protection mechanism too, because I didn't want to feel. And so if my mind was in a place of distraction, it would take away from that feeling my body was saying, hey, you need to dive deeper into this. You know, it would make the emotion, I guess, less intense. So don't get in your head about it. Just release, just let go. And then later on, if you want to sit and reflect, go for it, you know. But in those moments, just allow the tears to release. Allow that energy to move through your body. Allow your heart a chance to speak. You know, a lot of times we ignore our heart. You know, a lot of times we follow our head instead. And we ignore the heart. We ignore the body. And we get caught up in our mind. And, you know, it's not always the best thing. So honor your heart. Honor what you feel. Honor every emotion that comes up. You know, it has a place. It has a lesson. It has a voice. It has a reason. There is a purpose for it. You know, but don't hold on to it. Don't get in your head over it. When we take an emotion and we drag it through our mind and we dissect it, it kind of splinters off and ricochets, right? And it gets stuck because now we're overanalyzing this emotion. And it's like, okay, you allowed yourself to acknowledge it, but then somewhere along the line, you held on to it, and now it's become an attachment. And now this emotion that just wanted to be acknowledged and held and, you know, given a safe space to surface and then be released and go on about its way is now hanging on to you, or you're hanging on to it, right? And it's kind of like you're walking around with a whole bunch of different price tags, but instead of it being a number on that price tag, it's an emotion and a date or a situation that happened, and it's like all of these attachments, or if you want to call it baggage, that is now stuck to you because you didn't allow it to fully release, to fully flow through you, to complete the process. You interrupted it somewhere along the line and it got stuck, and now it's a part of you that, you know, is lingering onto that. And like I said, it does become emotional baggage that builds and builds and builds, and it becomes the shit that we project onto others, the shit that we bleed onto others, you know. And a lot of times it becomes that anger, because anger truly just masks pain. It's up under anger is usually sadness or some other form of emotion, but it's easier to be angry than to admit or surrender into that sadness. You know what I mean? Because anger seems to come with control, to whereas when one may be sad, they may feel helpless, or they may feel, you know, not as powerful as they would if they stood tall in their anger. So a lot of times people will stuff down that sadness or that grief, you know, and allow it to be expressed as anger. And there's nothing wrong with anger. Please don't, you know, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being angry, you know, because emotions show up in different ways. But what I am saying is that what is up under your anger? Dive into that. It's okay to be angry, but why are you angry? Why are you truly angry? What's up under it? What caused your anger? And why do you feel, that you wanted to mask it as anger? You know what I mean? Is it something that's been lingering for a long time? Are you angry because your body felt disrespected for whatever reason? Are you angry because your body felt like you didn't listen to it? It's like, yo, I put myself in the same fucking situation. I knew this shit was about to happen. Maybe you didn't listen to your intuition and now you're angry, And it's all valid reasons to be angry. So tap into that, reflect on that, and see what you get from it. Crying makes me think about the rain. It makes me think about nature. Right? You have many different levels to the rain. You have the little drizzle mistiness. You have that light rain. You have a cold rain. You have like that hot summer rain. And then you have like that pour down rain where you're like drenched if you're outside for 2 seconds. And it just makes me think about the cleansing of nature and also the nourishment, because the rain is needed. That water is needed. The plants look forward to the rain. And I'm sure the animals and every other aspect of nature looks forward to that rain. And they honor it. They make space for it. They allow it. Without the rain, there would be an imbalance. And so it just makes me think about the many different ways that water shows up in nature. And honestly, I feel like nature rages too at times, right? Tsunamis and hurricanes and floods and that like torrential downpour of rain. I feel like, nature has its moments where it uses water to cleanse, to release, to refresh, to renew, to start over, to express itself, to purge itself. And so if we look at nature as an example and we learn to embrace the rain, we learn to dance in the rain, become one with the rain, allow the rain to cleanse us, allow that storm to come in and do what is necessary, right? Then we can allow our tears to do the same, no matter what level they're on. If it's just a few tears that fall, that's okay. If it's a torrential downpour of tears and you have a breakdown or a breakthrough, that's okay too, Or maybe it's just silent tears. Some people like to cry in silence, and that's okay. There's no right or wrong way to cry, in my opinion, And it's just embracing whatever level or vibration you're on as the tears flow. There's something that I wrote once about the storm. I'm going to see if I can find it. I believe I have it saved in my notes. However, I always say that even through the storm, you can create your own sunshine. And you truly can if you so desire, right? But let me see if I can find this, because it's calling for me to say it in this podcast episode. So maybe someone needs to hear it. So I'll be right back, y'all. In the midst of a storm, sometimes it can be difficult to see clearly. Don't get so caught up in the perceived chaos the storm is creating around you that you miss out on the beauty that is also blossoming as a result of the rain the storm has brought with it. watering and nourishing you, purifying your mind, body, soul, and spirit, while watering the seeds you've been planting and showing you where you need to honor your emotions, as they are not the enemy, but simply a key that helps you navigate through life. Just don't drown yourself in the process. The wind it has stoked up to clear all that stagnant energy and people out of your life that you were no longer in alignment with, getting rid of the debris, the dust, and encouraging you to speak the fuck up, as there is so much power in your breath. Speak, baby, speak. The thunder and lightning that comes through exposes those blind sides, those areas of darkness that needed some light shed upon them, and the clearing of your mind, thoughts, by the strength of the sound of the thunder, letting you know your wisdom comes when you silence the noise around you and within you and just listen. It's in the eye of the storm, that moment when all is silent, that you truly see, if you allow yourself to. So when the storm comes knocking, surrender, welcome it in. All is always working out in your favor. It's up to you whether you choose to see, believe, and understand that. The choice is yours. Stop running from the storm and embrace stillness. The sun always shines afterwards, giving you that warm embrace, fueling your passions, and healing your body on a cellular level. And that rainbow makes love to all of your chakras. I love that. I just wanted to share that with y'all. Let that sink in for a bit and love on you. There's a sacredness in your tears. There's power. There is strength in each tear that falls. The ability to cleanse, to heal, to nourish, to purify. See your tears as art, and see yourself as the canvas. And all your tears want to do is paint the picture that your words cannot. Is paint the picture that your feelings, your vibration wants to speak. Right? So be an artist. Allow your tears to fill up your canvas, which is yourself. And watch the masterpiece that comes from you watering yourself. Right? You can imagine yourself being a flower, and your tears are simply just nourishing it, feeding the soil so that you can continue to bloom. Your tears can be a form of getting rid of the weeds, the baggage that may be contaminating your garden. And when you allow your tears to fall, like the raindrops, it nourishes that flower within you and allows you to continue to bloom. So however you want to see it, whichever way it speaks to you, give yourself that permission to release. I've come across people that say they don't know how to cry, or they can't cry, like it's like their tears are stuck. And for me, I feel like it's a protection mechanism that's built up, but also just simply allowing yourself, giving yourself and your body that permission, right? Because your body is holding on to it because it doesn't feel safe to cry, you know? It doesn't feel safe to feel if you haven't allowed it to feel. You know what I mean? It's holding that protection that you set in place. It's holding your view or your perspective on tears, on crying. And if you have all this in the way, then your body may not truly allow itself to release. And so if you're one of those people out there that's like, I don't know how to cry, or the tears just won't come out, they're stuck, I promise you there's a way to release them. I remember a few years ago, I believe it was like 2021, and I was in the presence of a woman, and I didn't know her from a can of paint. She was new to me, right? But I went to this healing event, and I was in her presence, and we were sitting in the car, me and another, one of my healing friends, one of my healer friends, right? And so I remember she was saying she hadn't allowed herself to grieve her sister's death, you know, and if I'm not mistaken, it had at least been a year or so. And I don't know, it was just like something just told me to keep talking to her, right? And so she was sitting there, and I was in the front seat with her, and I was just speaking. And I don't remember exactly what I was saying to her, but I was just allowing spirit to move through me to talk to her. And before I knew it, she was crying, y'all. She broke down and cried. And while she cried, I just walked her through it. You know, just told her she was safe and to continue letting the tears flow. And that it was all right. That she finally released everything she had been holding on. That she finally released that grief that she allowed herself to hold on to for so long. You know, and while she was crying and while I was speaking to her, you know, my friend was in the back seat, and, you know, he helped to ground her, to take some of that pain away, right? And it was such a powerful moment. It was intense. It was heavy. But man, was it beautiful, because she felt that release afterwards. So there's a way to get through. You may not be able to do it completely by yourself. You may need someone to guide you, and that's okay. But there's a way to let your tears out. And, you know, I just want to speak on this right quick as far as like having that image or that wall up of being the strong one. Because that stops you from feeling, it stops you from crying, feeling like you always have to be the strong one, always have to be the strong friend, right? And you don't truly allow yourself to let go, to feel, to embrace, because it's like, you know, oh, I can't let them see me like this, can't let them see me sweat, can't let them see a weakness, can't let them see my tears, you know. And a lot of times parents hide their tears or that moment of crying from their kids too. And it's like, I feel like that's so essential for them to see you cry. Like, it's okay to cry. It's okay to not be okay. Like, I feel like that is needed so that they become one with their emotions and can learn how to regulate them and to learn to release them, right? But just in general, like, you don't have to be that strong friend. You don't have to be that strong pillar in your family all the fucking time. Give yourself a break, because I feel like it leads to so much tension within the body, right? You know, your shoulders is hurting, your foundation, like your framework, your knees is tired. Like, give yourself a break to just be. And it's not to say that if you're not the strong one that you're weak. No, you're fucking human. Tap into your humanness. You don't have to be a robot, you know? And pile those unrealistic expectations upon yourself. And you have some people who are so fucking, like, into this spiritual shit, holier than thou, like, just up in the clouds, and they're not grounded. And it's like, yo, don't forget that you literally came here to be human, to have this fucking human experience. And you have to honor that too. And that means honoring every aspect of it without judgment. But hey, that's just my take on it. I'm going to read the quote one last time before I close out, because I just think that it needs to be heard again. So, may this love on you in whichever way that you need it to. And again, this quote is by Washington Irving. There is a sacredness in tears. They are not the mark of weakness, but of power. They speak more eloquently than 10,000 tongues. They are the messengers of overwhelming grief, of deep contrition, and of unspeakable love. The part that really stands out to me in this is they speak more eloquently than 10,000 tongues. The power in that alone, like what? And just realizing that they truly are messengers. What is the message of your tears? What are they wanting to tell you, trying to get you to see? You know, just listen as they roll down your cheek. What is it? What is your heart saying? What is your heart desiring for you to finally hear from it? What is your body wanting to tell you, to connect with you? What is there? What is the message? I feel like a lot of times our words can cover up what the tears truly want to release. A lot of times we bite our tongue, right? We don't speak all the way up. We don't stand our ground. We don't say what needs to be said in those moments. We don't honor what we truly feel. We don't always honor our boundaries, you know? Sometimes we find ourselves disrespecting ourselves, neglecting ourselves, being our own abusers, breaking our own hearts, putting ourselves in fucked up ass situations. And it's like the tears are the authenticity. The tears are the truth. The tears are the realness, the rawness that we don't always allow for ourselves to express in words. So think about that. That is all I have for y'all today. I love y'all. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. I'm grateful for your existence. Allow yourself to release. Go have a good cry if you need one. Honor yourself for a change. And remember, life is as beautiful as you allow it to be. Self-love and perspective is key. So choose wisely, beautiful souls. As always, I love y'all. Peace.